Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our channel, Women Up. I'm Leah and I'm joined by the lovely Sue. I thought
Hi.
we would take this opportunity to have a introduction as well and talk about what we've been up to. Do you want to go first?
Yes, yeah. So Leah and I created the group Woman Up, I think it was a couple of months ago, Leah.
Hmm.
But we've both been involved in street activism for, well, it's over 12 months now.
Well, I met you when my baby was born and she's 15 months old now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that was with IWD,
yeah,
Brisbane Region.
yeah.
Yeah. And so we've done quite a bit of street action, haven't we?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed this stuff with IWD because it got me used to, well, I'm not used to it, but it kind of introduced me to speaking. And
Yeah,
it's really powerful, isn't it,
it
speaking
is. It
in
is.
public?
Yeah. And you can see that when women get up and speak. I guess we're talking about Speaker's Corner now and the effect that that can have on you
Mm,
coming along and speaking for the first time. And that's basically what with IWD Brisbane Meanjin that we got up and did.
yeah. And Anna did a great job, Anna McCormack, of organising all that. And
Yeah,
you now realise that it's quite a lot of running around and quite a lot of paperwork involved.
yeah,
So,
yeah, it
so,
is.
so that's what we're doing now, isn't it? The street speakers' corners.
Yeah, yeah, because Anna wanted to concentrate more on public gatherings, meetings, which she's really good at. If anyone has the opportunity to attend one, you really should. She had some amazing speakers, and then she basically handed it over to you, Leah, at the time, and you've built it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's had some great speakers now. I'm thinking back to all the speakers that I've seen actually. Um, really,
yeah,
really amazing women in this movement.
yeah. She's well connected and well respected, and women will travel from interstate to
Mm.
come and speak. So the events are always so well organised, and the speakers are just amazing.
It's awesome when you see women like that who are willing to speak as well,
Yeah,
who are willing to come out and talk about this mess that we're in.
yeah, because when you look at it, a lot of the people that we see now, like with Kath Deves and um, Gillian Spencer, just recently has come out, Angie Jones, and there's just so many now. Jasmine Sussex, so many that were really unknown, but they've really come out and put their neck on the block for it,
Yeah,
and well respected through Australia, and they're all fantastic speakers.
yeah. We're very lucky to be in such good company.
Yeah, and we've got Edie who's in Brisbane,
Yeah,
who and she gets up and speaks quite often.
she's great.
And yeah, especially when she got up and spoke at
Yeah,
one of the speakers' corners when the skinheads were there to try and intimidate us. That speech will.
yeah. She's very funny. Very,
Yeah,
very brings humour in. You have to sometimes because this whole thing is so dark.
yeah, because you'd go insane, wouldn't you? If you didn't have that sort of sense of.
Sometimes it feels like we are going insane.
Yeah,
When you think
yeah,
about the amount of people that have no idea what's going on,
yeah. I
uh,
know, scary.
like let's talk about our action that we did today. It was really good.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got together with a few other women. Some of them don't want to be identified for reasons such as job, relationships, but others do. The awesome Kaley, who's just a great force.
yeah. She
I'll,
is.
I'll tag her Twitter in the description.
Yeah,
Um, and we went to a plastic surgery because we heard that they were doing double mastectomies on minors, and we thought, well, we can't just not do anything. So we made a big sign, and we
you
took
might
it.
want to mention. You might want to mention how we confirmed, or how, in your brilliance, you confirmed what they were doing, because there's a lot
Yeah,
of people there saying that it's untrue, and
yeah.
you know, and it's not.
There's a lot of people out there saying that it's not true, even faced with the evidence. But I think it's just a way of. I just think sometimes I think it's a coping mechanism because the truth is so dark. to think that minors, young girls, children are having their breasts amputated because they feel like they might be a boy is actually quite a lot for the brain to take. So I don't actually judge people if they for some reason don't believe it, but I think look at the evidence and have a look. Have a look, go to the Woman Up Twitter and you'll see the phone call that I made. I first saw the story on Reddit. Someone, a young girl, 15-year-old girl, put her whole story on Reddit explaining from A to Z how she managed to save up for and get her top surgery done. They call it top surgery, but really it's a double mastectomy. Sometimes you have to use their language. And I thought to myself, right, I posted that and someone said, I don't believe it. And I thought, okay, fair play, let's go and have a look. Let's actually phone them up and see, get the evidence. And they told me flat out on the phone, yeah, they're willing to do breast amputation on young girls. And I asked how young was the limit, and they said 13. And that was straight from the plastic surgery receptionist's mouth. So that's the build up to really to how we got how we ended up standing outside the plastic surgery with our signs. But it was awesome to see the public support that we had, but it was also really worrying that not many people hadn't had a clue what was going on.
Yeah.
Right? This is happening in Australia, in Queensland.
Yeah, and they keep denying that it's happening, don't they?
Yeah.
The authorities saying it's not happening here in Australia and it's happening here in Brisbane. You know, and it's not like 15 is so young, but it's horrific thinking that a 15-year-old would get a double mastectomy, but a 13-year-old.
Think about the mistakes you made when you were 15.
Yeah.
Even when you were 18.
Even when I'm
even now. You know? No, it's just, and then the story, I've got the story on my screen here. But I'm so new to this Zoom that I don't know how to share my screen yet. But the story made it into the Daily Mail, Australia, and the headline is "Inside the World of Teenage Transitions in Australia, where 13-year-olds are having their breasts removed after one letter from a psychiatrist, which teens can't even do in Thailand." And mums brag with before and after pics on Facebook. And I'll put the link to that story in the description as well, so anyone can read it if they want. But yeah, it's one of those things, Sue, that once you've seen it, you can't look away.
Yeah, it's horrific. You know, and when you start getting involved and you tell people, you think they're going to think I'm a conspiracy theorist because it sounds so insane. And it's just how this has taken hold. And people could easily say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. This isn't real, because it just doesn't seem like it could be real, but it is. And here we have governments and the health profession and all the people that should be looking after us as the public, particularly kids, that are sanctioning this. And you just think, what is behind this movement? But there's a lot of...
What are your thoughts on it? Because whenever I ask people that, I always get a lot of different answers, and they all make sense.
I think there's a number of different reasons. And a lot of it is money, trying to get to the children, oppressing women. You know, there's quite a few reasons why, and it's all come together. And I don't think there's just one reason, but the distressing part is that it's captured governments. And if you look at Queensland, we've got every single Labor politician voted for the Birth, Deaths and Marriages Bill, which is another aspect of this, giving men legal entitlement as women. But then you've got the LNP, who they all voted against it. And most of us come from the left. I'd say, 95% of us come from the left. And we've seen the left just completely desert us, and the right seem to know exactly what is going on, and they're opposed to it. And you just think, oh my God, I never thought in a million years I would be seeing sense with what the right are fighting for. We just need them to step up more, though.
Yeah, it's not really a left or right thing anymore, is it? It's a right or wrong thing.
Yeah, it should never have been politicised. Women losing their rights, giving them to men, the gendered identities have got more rights and we've got none. And that should have gone to a referendum. But if it had gone to a referendum, there would have been a no vote. They would have had to educate the public. And that's what they don't want to do. And that's why they say there's no debate.
Exactly, because like you said today about the same-sex marriage, there was a vote on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very clear, 2 people of the same sex being allowed to get married.
Yeah.
Not many people had an issue with that.
No, that's right.
And there's not much to explain about it. It's just, it is what it says on the tin. But this, once you go down the rabbit hole of what it means to be trans, I mean, there's no answer for it.
Yeah. And
there's no
a lot of those
objectivity to it at all. It's all subjective feelings.
And but the trans of the past, the real trans, they hated their body. They wanted to, but the ones that hide under the umbrella of trans these days, they don't want to change anything about themselves.
They just want transsexuals, wasn't it, back in the day?
Yeah. And they were saying, like Mr. Menno, oh God, it must be 6 months ago, he did a video on what the traditional trans people went through compared to the autogynephiles of today, where the true trans, if they felt like they were a woman, they couldn't stand to have the genitalia of a man. They just couldn't live with it. But with the autogynephiles, they want to keep their genitalia. All they want to do is dress like a woman. They're still opposite sex attracted, or most of them are, not all of them are, but yeah. And so, now with sex self-ID, it's every predatory man's dream to be able to say, I'm a woman, and enter those spaces. And it drives me insane the way the TIQA plus say that we're saying that trans identifying men, they claim that we're saying they're predatory. They may have a sexual fetish, but we're not saying they're predatory. But you're
opening the door to any man who wants to come and be deviant in our spaces. And
because they don't even have to change. They don't have to change anything about themselves. They just walk into a woman's space and go, I'm a woman.
And especially now with the births, deaths and marriages.
Yeah.
Well, if you read through that, it stipulates that the reason why they're making it easy is because it's discriminatory to expect someone to go through surgery and take hormones.
Yeah, I wonder, like, if the Queensland government said to these men that now claim they are women, because true trans people don't want any part of their body to represent the sex they were born as. So with these autogynephiles, if the Queensland government said, look, because they're saying we can't afford to have that operation, if they said to these men, look, we'll cover it with Medicare, and then once and then when you've had the surgery, okay, you can be legally recognised as a woman. But they don't want that.
No, and I don't want that either, because whether or not you've had the surgery, still a matter.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's pretty horrific what we're going to have to live with. And someone was saying the other day on Facebook that they couldn't believe when they were walking around the city, they come from outside of Brisbane, how many men were walking around dressed as women, because now they believe. I don't think they realise that the bill was passed, but it hasn't yet come into play, so it's not legal. They can't legally enter our spaces yet.
Can you explain that a bit, Sue? Because that is a bit of a tricky one as well, because It has been passed.
Yeah, and it's had royal assent. They've signed off on that, but there's no.
So
What's the
what's the
date?
process in Parliament of these things going through?
Usually, when they sign with royal assent, it takes part from that day. But in the bill itself, it says a proclamation date to be advised. So it hasn't started yet. That's my understanding of it.
And is that a usual thing? Is that normal?
No, usually royal assent's the one that kicks it off. But they had said in the past it would be the 1st of January 2024.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. But I think a lot of, well, they're just ignoring it, because if they came into our spaces now and we called the police, they'd go, oh, the bill's been passed, you know. So in effect, it's been given the green light.
This is the thing that you see, like, I think maybe just because I'm English, it really hit home with me, but there was a picture going around last year of Eddie Izzard
Oh, yeah.
in the women's toilets, like coming out of the women's toilets. And it's like, it's still illegal for men to use women's spaces. It's still illegal.
Yeah.
Yet
Yeah.
they think that they can just get away with it now because the social norm has completely shifted.
Yeah, that's right. Because England didn't adopt it, did they? The
No.
sex self-ID. They voted, or the government decided against it, because didn't they? They were refusing to consult with women, like the Queensland government. I guess every government in Australia has done.
Yeah.
And in the end, they did consult with women, and they made the decision, no, we won't introduce. Was it gender recognition or?
Yeah, the Gender Recognition Act, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
There is something already that dates back a long time, that if they do have the operation and they had to, I think, live as the opposite sex, whatever that means,
for 2
for a couple
years.
of years, yeah. But now that's all gone out the window.
Yeah, all they have to do is any man, and you can't ask to see their birth certificate because that'd be transphobic. So there's no protections at all for women and children.
It just blows my mind how something as embarrassing and cringy as men dressing up as women has taken hold of everyday life.
Yeah.
To a point where it's infiltrated schools, it's infiltrated workplaces, every facet of society has been prisons, hospitals.
Yeah, it's everywhere, isn't it?
That's why it's important that we keep getting out there.
Yeah.
Grassroots.
And that's why we've done the Valley. So we did the Valley on the 2nd of July, I think, wasn't it? Then 3 weeks later, we did another one today.
It went well today, I thought.
Yeah, it did. Both times went well.
Yeah.
Today we got a little bit more support than what we did last time. So
objectively, it's just horrific reading that they're doing that to minors. You can't argue with what we're saying.
No.
And a lot of people saying thank you for doing it, because there's not many people out there doing it.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
And because people are fearful.
Yeah.
Because you get cancelled and you could lose your job. You lose friends because of, they believe all the bullshit that's put out there about being inclusive and kind, and,
It's crazy that friends that I had in the past, I'm now learning about them, that they think it's okay to do this to children. And I never knew that about them. I never knew that about them until, obviously, they're not friends with me anymore because I speak up for children and women.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just can't believe I never knew that about you.
Yeah. It comes as a shock, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does. And they're so nasty about it. They won't, generally, they just think, oh, you're a bigot. And you think, oh, how could you condone this?
I don't know. I think there'll be a point in the future where things will change. I think it is starting to change. I'm seeing incremental changes here and there.
Yeah.
It's not fast enough for me, but one step at a time.
Well, it's crumbling overseas, isn't it? The crumbling started overseas. It's just that we're years behind here. And because the media is so silent on this, all except the Sky News, who
I'm
report on
seeing
it, and the Australian.
bits and pieces coming into the media now, which is positive.
Yeah,
But it's still being painted in a light like the whole suicide myth. You know,
yeah, yeah,
the Four Corners episode was really, really banging on about how these children and people in general are at risk of suicide, and it's just not true.
yeah, that's right. But they keep using it. And everyone goes, oh, those poor kids, transition them straight away. You've better to have a live daughter than a dead son or something. And they really know how to manipulate people,
Well,
don't
that's it. It's so manipulative, and anybody who's been in a relationship like that will know how it feels when someone says to you, "Don't leave me, or I'll kill myself." It's
they?
like
Yeah,
it's very manipulative.
yeah, yeah. And it's completely untrue too, because of the research that has been done, is that kids that have got these comorbidities, and what are they? They're usually autistic,
Yeah,
they're on the spectrum, that sort of thing. And so because they've got other comorbidities, by transitioning it, maybe there are some successes, but not
I
many.
think one of the big factors of it is loneliness within these children,
Yeah,
and even the 17, 18-year olds. We've just been through 2 years. Was it 2 years of lockdown?
yeah, basically, yeah,
And it has had such an effect on these young kids' psychology. It's just the effects of the lockdowns have just been immense.
yeah.
And this is a big effect that we're seeing now.
Yeah, and it wasn't overly bad in Queensland if you compare it to Victoria.
Yeah,
They had it really bad.
yeah.
Uh, and look at the nutcase they've got running that state. He's just a shocker.
I just don't understand where it can go from there. I mean, how much worse can it get?
Well, then they've got John Pursuto, the leader of the Liberals down there, and he's basically a trans activist. And, the Liberal Party down there, they've got to get rid of him. He's a patron of Liberal pride, and we all know that pride doesn't mean LGB anymore because they've been shafted, because the TIQA believe that you can't be same-sex attracted.
It just doesn't make sense how the TIQA is even part of the LGB, because the TIQA negates the LGB. It makes it null and void. It doesn't even biological sex.
But that's their shield. LGB is the TIQA.
If you just think about it for 5 seconds, it doesn't make sense.
No, it's complete opposites. LGB or LG are same-sex attracted. The B is attracted to, but the TIQ just go, no, you can't be same-sex attracted. You were born in the wrong body. And a lot of people don't realise the struggle with the LGB, and they're going, you've hijacked us. They've hijacked the flag. They've hijacked everything. And so, the struggle for them as well.
Yeah, and we're meeting a lot of lesbians in particular in this movement as well, who are absolutely just sick of this.
Yeah, and gay men too, because they're all affected as well, because you've got these women that are saying now that they're men, but they're gay men. And like with the men that say they're women, but they're lesbians because they're attracted to the opposite sex. But now they're lesbians. It's just, you just have to think, oh my God, we're going nuts. But, the one good thing is once you go out and you do the street action is you gauge how the public's feeling. And I don't think we've ever done a street action where we haven't come away with an overwhelming majority of people supporting us being out there. And and the government won't speak to people about it. They only want to speak to the trans lobbyists, and so if they got out there and just spoke to the public, they would know what we know, is it's not supported.
And surely that's their job, to listen to the public. That's literally their job.
Yeah, but they don't.
When we went outside Shannon Fentiman's office, the reaction was awesome.
Yeah,
it was constant thumbs up and honking. And all we did was stand there with a big adult human female sign.
Yeah, so we just went out.
Needed to do.
Yeah, that's right. So that was in May, and we just went outside. Shannon Fentiman, who at the time was the Attorney General and the Minister for Women, And you made that amazing sign, Leah, which because she came out upset over the sticker that had been put on her sign. And she was saying how disgusting this sticker was, and all it was the dictionary definition of a woman.
Yeah.
So we went out there, and I just stood by the roadside with this massive sign just saying woman, adult, human, female, and thinking at the time that maybe the people of Logan weren't very aware of what was going on. And we were surprised, really surprised at the amount of support that we got.
Yeah, I was surprised, and I think that should be on the cards for us to do again.
Yeah. And that's the success that we're having, from doing those actions and getting out and talking to people. And even today, mostly men again that are willing to speak about it. But then there were a group of 4 women that stopped. One of them was a school teacher.
Yeah, and you did your awesome visual talking to them. You're really good at talking to people about that. Well, you've got a lot of experience in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you just have, because of animal rights. Because I know that it can be a bit daunting when you think about, giving leaflets out and talking to people. It's just practice. So I do understand that, initially it's difficult.
Yeah.
But these 4 women were fantastic. So they were easy to talk to. And that older guy that the hat on, where he was just saying how the world's gone crazy. And so if the government would just get out there, but they don't want to know, because if they went out there, they'd be forced to acknowledge that this doesn't have public support. But that's what we want to do, is for the 2024 election in Queensland, get out to as many people as we can, and hopefully people won't vote Labor or the Greens.
Yeah.
Because the Greens are shocking.
Yeah. Are they even worse, or?
Then in a different way.
Yeah, in a different way.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep doing it. Let's keep cracking on. I mean, I'm going to do this for as long as it takes.
Yeah. So I don't know how long the media can stay silent on what's happening overseas. Surely there'll come a point where the media will say, okay, well, we can't keep Australians in the dark like we have been. Like, even if you look at Kelly J. Keen's tour, and when she went to Wellington and almost got killed by, what was it? They said 2,000. Then I heard it was 5,000 trans activists. So she was almost killed.
It was awful.
Yeah. And then the media over here, except for Sky and the independents were going, she left New Zealand because tomato soup was thrown at her. She almost lost her life.
It was really awful.
Yeah.
And the perpetrator, the Chanel guy, he's got a book out, and it's like an autobiography, I think. These men just get away with. This is the thing. These men have been given just free rein to treat women exactly how they want to treat them, like shit, even in public, even in front of cameras.
Yes, because they know they'll get away with it.
Yeah.
That guy that crushed the skull of that 72-year-old woman there to listen to people speak, that didn't get reported by mainstream media.
No.
Fractured skull.
Crazy.
Yeah. So we've got a media blackout except for Sky, and the independent journalists, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
But most people rely on mainstream media.
Yeah. No, we've got a very big hill to climb.
Yeah.
But we'll get there, and we're picking up people on the way as well. Our group's growing, and it's good to see. Just to let anyone know who's interested and who's around the Brisbane area, or if you can get to the Brisbane area, we have a vetting process. But if you're interested in doing street actions, then our DMs are open, and get in touch.
Yeah, and come along to Speakers Corner and meet with us.
Yeah, if you come along to our Speakers Corners, you can get a chance. We can have a chance to meet you face to face as well, and it's really beneficial coming along to those Speakers Corners, because you get to meet people who are feeling the same as you, and it makes you feel like you're not quite as mad.
Yeah, Yeah.
And
Yeah.
our next speakers corner is coming up on the 5th of August,
Which is a Saturday.
which is a Saturday.
Yeah. And the reason we do the vetting is because the trans nutters that try and infiltrate to try and shut us up.
Yeah, we've had messages from people pretending to be on our side, but are TRAs. So
Yeah.
we have to be careful. I mean, could
Yeah.
you imagine going out of your way and wasting time and doing that?
Yeah. Like no one I know even bothers to go to any trans
Like,
event,
I
TRA.
would really.
Yeah, even there was a police officer when they were at the Kelly J. Keane event in Brisbane in March said to me, why is it that they're always there harassing you, but no one goes to their events to try and shut them down? And you just think, so
Misogyny.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we don't go near them. I mean, I guess we interact with them on occasion on social media. But that's basically where you find out. Like you don't see them on Facebook, do you? It's
No.
always Twitter.
Yeah, it's always Twitter.
They're very overt on Twitter about everything to do with them. And and the way they talk to women, they really hate women. They really, they'd like to kill us, honestly.
I agree. Yeah.
They say that openly too.
Yeah,
They just want us to die.
I agree. Well, you had the one in London recently that said punch TERFs in the face,
Yeah.
and by TERFs he means women.
Yeah.
You know, it's
And even when the police arrested him, they were so nice to him. Did you see that footage of when they did? And I thought, geez, he's incited violence.
Yeah.
And they're treating him like, oh, have you got medication that you need to bring with you? And you just
I've
think,
seen police arrest women in much more aggressive ways than that.
well, we've seen the way they arrest Kelly J, and that's just for talking out in public. They rough handle her. Yet she doesn't call for violence against anyone. So I've never seen, like we wear like TERF was a term that was made up to denigrate us, but we own that now, even though we're not trans exclusionary.
Yeah.
But we do own the term TERF. So, all the high profile TERFs. And I've never come across any discussion on social media where anyone says they just don't want people to identify as they want. It's not about how they're identifying. It's so about our rights and to let children go through puberty. And if they decide when they've gone through puberty that they do want to identify as the opposite sex, that's fine.
Can you believe that that's even a legitimate sentence that we're saying? Let children go through puberty.
Yeah.
Like, where are we that is the case?
Yeah.
Children are not being allowed to go through puberty.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that nullification surgery that, they encourage them to get where they just don't have anything that looks like male or female. And you just think, no, this is just so wrong. I don't know how these politicians can sleep at night. How does Shannon Fentiman sleep at night knowing?
Probably very comfortably, because I don't think she's got a conscience.
Yeah, because I've never, ever seen Anastasia Palaszczuk come out and speak about this ever.
Yeah,
she wasn't in Parliament when the bill was voted. She was absent. So, which is interesting.
That's very telling.
Yeah, yeah. But what is the power behind this? That can, but then you look at Dan Andrews and he's a premier down there. There's something very, very wrong with that man. And when, what was it? It was a Kelly J tour again in Melbourne. That was just ridiculous. And when they're all being called Nazis and...
It was so surreal because we were actually involved in the organising of not that particular event, but our Brisbane event for the Standing for Women. And it was so surreal to see these politicians calling us personally Nazis.
Yeah, and even though we were organisers for the Brisbane, we're still part of the Australian organising team.
Yeah.
We knew what was going on
Yeah.
all over Australia.
We were privy to all of the messages, all of the planning, everything.
Yeah.
And not one, I don't think one person would have even mentioned the word Nazi in the whole
No,
6 months
no,
that we were organising it.
yeah, and it was such a setup in Victoria. You could see it was just such a setup.
Mm.
And then Dan Andrews comes out and 3 days later and raises the trans flag, or was it the progress flag? I think it was a trans flag.
It was a trans flag, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a trans flag.
Yeah.
With the background music and
it was a warning to women in Victoria that
it's all a game of chess to these people, because that paved the way to them trying to ban the Nazi salute, which then paves the way for all these hate speech laws. And it's all a game of chess.
Yeah, that's right. And so the hate speech and vilification amendments, that bill will probably get passed, and I bet you anything that will come in on the 1st of January 2024. And that's when we will find out whether or not wearing a T-shirt with the word woman on it is considered hate speech, with us standing out there with our banners, if that will be considered hate speech.
Because, of course, there's no description of what is considered a hateful symbol under this law. It's whoever decides.
Yeah, except for the Nazi sign, they specifically say that. But they should have taken it one step further and said, you can't just call anyone a Nazi because you've got a differing opinion, but it's all to just make us look so bad. And everyone goes, keeps hearing all the time that we're Nazis or Nazi sympathisers. And in the head of the public, because they did that when I was an animal activist, that's what the governments did back then, is that they, rather than animal activists, we were called vegan terrorists and vegan extremists, and the media picked up on it. So they didn't animal activists, only vegan terrorists and vegan extremists.
Wow.
And the media does with animal rights exactly what they do with this issue. So, and that's what they do. They slander to trying to destroy social justice movements. They label us with all these extreme labels.
You're a dangerous woman, Sue.
I know. We're all dangerous. Yeah. But that's the beauty of the street activism, isn't it? You get out there and you feel so good after. You just do an hour and you just feel really
It's great. And also it gives the public a chance to say that we're not these nasty, horrible people that are saying people shouldn't identify how they want. We don't care how people identify or how they dress. We just don't want men in our spaces. And we don't want kids being brought into it. That's personally what I'm fighting for.
Yeah, and I would say I haven't met anyone out. I haven't met anyone that says, "Oh, I hate anyone who identifies as such a." There's not that hate at all. It's all about our rights, and men didn't fight for women's rights. What they've taken from us is what every woman has fought for throughout history. And they've just taken them away. And so we just can't let them do that. But, like the suffragettes, what they suffered, and all the women throughout history that has suffered to get women. And we still didn't have, equality before this came. This is the greatest insult, to have men claim they are women and to be given a higher status in law than what women have.
I've had ex-friends telling me that trans women have more of a right to women's spaces than cis women. And I just can't get my head around that.
No.
How?
And then a pedophile apologist was the one that penned the word cis as well. I'm not going to be labelled, we're women, we're not cis women, and we're certainly not going to be labelled cis because it was penned by this pedophile apologist back in 1991. And so the trans women are the real women. And I love the way that trans activists go, that we we don't work at being a woman. So they're more of a woman than what we are because they work on being a woman.
Yeah.
How can you work on being a woman?
Only a man could say that.
Because it's your biology that
Yeah,
makes you a woman.
yeah. Only
You
a
know?
man can say that. And I tell you what, going through when you first get your periods, or certainly for me when I was just got them, the amount of pain that I had for years. I don't have pain anymore, but tell you what, there was a lot of effort and a lot of work that went into having to get through the day there.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
will never have a clue about.
No,
There's a
no.
lot of work involved when you have to give birth to a baby. They will never understand it.
Yeah,
So it's an absolute insult. I will never wear the label cis. And
no. I've
that's
always
embarrassing.
hated it. I've always hated the term
Oh
cis.
my.
It's just so offensive.
And I
And
feel sorry for women or girls that are dating as well, and they have to, and you know, the boys or the young men are describing themselves as cis.
yeah, it's pathetic.
Yeah,
It's such an insult. But, they say to us, we've got to, if we don't use their correct pronouns, then, it's violence. So we've got to make sure that we use their correct pronouns. And how do you know? By looking at them what it is. We've got to do that. But when you say, I find cis offensive, and they go, well, you just have to live with it, won't you?
yeah. It was typical male attitude,
Yeah,
behaviour. Yeah.
yeah. And then you
Well,
get those women that support them. And you think, oh my God, what is going on?
I think it's yeah. I mean, I don't. It's usually younger women that are supporting them,
Yeah, yeah,
and they'll come to learn
yeah, they will.
when they're not just desired in the way that they are when they're in their 20s. You know,
Yeah,
when they're in their 40s and 50s, they're not going to be feeling like they need to appease and satisfy men. Like you
yeah.
don't feel like that as you get older.
You must trigger a lot of these men, though, when they can see that you're pregnant, because Leah's pregnant. So that must trigger a
Yeah.
lot because they can't carry a baby.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It must be triggering for them because it's such an awesome thing to be able to do that I get to do it. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
they can't. So, yeah, so the street action has been very, very positive. So if anyone wants to join us, like Leah said, come along to Speaker's Corner,
yeah,
because if we can't verify you off social media, because we do have a process, and we don't want to turn away people that are legitimate and
yeah,
can't post,
yeah.
because and you can come along and be anonymous.
Yeah, you can wear a hat and a mask and whatever you need to do. And if you let us know that you don't want to be on in photos or anything, then you won't be in any photos. But please come along. It's a
Yeah,
really good atmosphere, and then we go to the pub after as well, which is nice.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's really good. So yeah, come along to Speaker's Corner, because we really do need more people to support us. We do understand that it's okay. We're fine with coming out. That sounds weird, doesn't it? Coming out. But we've both been cancelled. And so we've got nothing to lose. I'm retired. Leah's got one very young child and another one on the way.
Yeah.
So we do understand when people are worried about their job and friends and family. So, and if we can't verify you off social media, then the best thing is to come along and meet with us.
Yeah, and if you've been thinking about doing it for a while, don't think about it anymore. Come out. It's time. It's time to speak out.
Yeah, because if we don't,
Yeah.
we're going to have to live with this.
Yeah.
And, we've got to stop these young kids being mutilated, because they are being used. And, it's just not right.
There has to be at least an age limit of, adulthood. Before you want to make these drastic surgeries, bloody plastic surgery, extreme body modification that you'll never be able to reverse, you'll never be able to grow back your breasts. There needs to be very, very stringent guidelines if someone still wants to do this when they're an adult. We don't have an issue with that.
And the Daily Mail, when they did that story, how you were saying about Thailand, and it mentioned that there was one mother that wanted to take a 17-year-old over to Thailand, but Thailand will not do double mastectomies on children with healthy breasts under the age of 20. Yet here in Australia, a 13-year-old can get it done.
It's just crazy. It needs to end. It needs to stop. So if we can play our little part in trying to get this to stop, then I'm proud of us.
Yeah, that's right. If we just get one, like today, it was a very positive. I think it was about hour 15 we were out there, so we're not out there for a long time. But there were a few people that stopped and spoke to us, and although they knew a little bit about it to be opposed to it, they haven't got a clue the facts. And so it's really good being able to talk to people.
Yeah.
And explain.
It's worth it. It's worth doing it for that hour or whatever you're out there, even if it's just one person that takes a leaflet and reads it and thinks, and then looks a bit deeper, and then is peeved inevitably, because you can't think that this is right, and when you've got the information, it's just not right. So it's worth doing it just for that, even if it was just one person that took a leaflet and had a think about it.
Yeah. And the one thing is, once this is done and dusted, and it can't survive. It's like any bad thing throughout history. In the end, it's crushed, and this will happen. But like you and I, Leah, can walk away and, okay, we've got our rights back. But all these kids that have had their body mutilated and they'll be medicalised for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
You know? And Gillian Spencer from the Brisbane Children's Hospital, she got suspended a few months ago because she raised concerns about this gender affirming care with kids. The research, and she spoke about it, between 60 and 90% of kids that go through gender confusion pre-puberty grow out of it post-puberty.
And that number hasn't changed for years in the research.
Yeah.
Puberty is what helps you come out of it. So stopping puberty is just crazy.
Yeah, and there's so many disgusting health issues that they have. Like I recently heard that the fusing of these kids' spines, the spines don't fuse properly. They get osteoporosis. They're sterilised. They'll never be able to have children. And it's just, the list is a mile long.
Yeah.
And there's puberty there for a reason. It's biology. It's to move a human being through the process. And then they lie and go, it's pausing puberty. You think, no, it's not pausing. Don't lie to these kids. And stop telling them in schools that the doctors assigned a sex to them at birth.
Well, the whole thing is just a lie, a big lie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big lie.
Yeah. Well, we've got some more actions coming up next week, so we'll come on and talk about those as well.
Yeah.
And we've got some more coming up as well in the future, so we're out there.
Yeah, so Woman Up's got a Twitter page, and really the Twitter page, if you're on Twitter, that's the place to follow. That's a page to follow, but there's one on Facebook as well. It's a much smaller group. It's also closed. So if you're worried about people knowing that, you're showing an interest in this issue, it's a closed group. So you can ask to join. And maybe, once again, if we can't verify you by your social media, and if you can't be seen, your social media page isn't going to be seen to be supportive, you don't have mutual friends of, well-known people, come along to Speaker's Corner and meet with us.
Yes. Yeah. I'll put all the links to all the pages in the description as well.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Okay. I think we'll wrap it up there then.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.